Oh, right, let's get right into it. Ever watch a game and feel like two quarterbacks are living in completely different worlds, even though they're on the same field? We're going to break down this really interesting take that claims for two QBs, one was basically handed the keys to succeed, while the other, well, he was set up to fail.
And that brings us to this central question. Are all struggles on a football field really the same? The source we're looking at makes a powerful argument that, talent isn't just about what a player can do in a vacuum. It's about the whole system around them, the context, the support, or lack thereof. And in this particular game, man, it says those two things were just miles apart.
And here it is, laid out plain and simple. For Dillon Gabriel, the narrative was an easy day, but for Shedeur Sanders, a manufactured struggle. So how does that even happen? How can two guys in the same position, in the same game, have experiences that are polar opposites? Well, let's dig into exactly what the source claims created these two different realities. So the article we're diving into claims it all boils down to one thing: the setup. This wasn't a fair fight, a simple showcase of who had more raw talent. Nope. It was all about the specific environment each quarterback was thrown into the second they stepped on that field. Okay, so first up, let's look at Gabriel's situation. The source basically says he was playing in a protective bubble. I mean, we're talking practically zero pressure. His O-line, a brick wall. And the plays they were calling for him, super simple stuff. Dink and dunk passes to get him into a rhythm, build his confidence. It was, according to this piece, the absolute definition of setting a guy up to look good. All right, now let's flip the coin and look at what Shedeur Sanders was dealing with. And whoa, it could not be more different. The article describes his situation as just pure chaos. He was getting swarmed right from the get-go. His offensive line is called a turnstile. Yikes. There were no gimme plays, no easy throws to get comfortable. Instead, he's being asked to make these super difficult throws while basically running for his life. The source calls it a total trial by fire. Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting. The point the article is driving at is that these completely different setups, they don't just impact the stats on the page. They control the entire story that gets told about these players. And that, it claims, creates a massive double standard. And man, the source uses this incredible metaphor to really hammer the point home. It says Gabriel was driving a luxury car. Smooth ride, easy handling. But Shedeur, he was handed the keys to a clunker with no brakes and then got blamed when it crashed. When you put it like that, the argument is that you can't even begin to compare their performances, right? It's just not a level playing field. So what's the real-world results of this alleged double standard? Well, according to this analysis, when Gabriel looks good in that perfect setup, the narrative is, wow, this kid is promising, he's got potential. But when Sanders struggles in that chaotic mess, he gets slapped with labels like not ready or overhyped. The article basically claims the story is written before the final whistle even blows. And this is where the article really turns up the heat. It goes beyond just calling out a double standard. It starts to suggest that this might not have been an accident, that there could be a deliberate, hidden agenda behind the scenes. The source breaks down this sabotage theory into four main steps. First, sabotaged protection. It asks, was that O-line failure really just incompetence, or was it intentional? Second, a strategic chokehold. This is the idea of keeping a player but deliberately not helping them develop. Third, narrative control. You create the perfect storm for failure, and then you let the negative media takes roll in. And finally, and this is the big one, it's about protecting the status quo, pushing back against a disruptor who threatens the old guard. So you're probably asking, what exactly is a disruptor in this context? Well, according to the source, it's a player like Shedeur Sanders, someone who doesn't just bring talent, but also a massive cultural influence, being Deion Sanders' son helps, that challenges the way things have always been done in the NFL. And the theory is, the establishment just doesn't like that. It resists that kind of change. Okay, so let's zoom back in from the big theories and look at the direct consequences on the field. What was the immediate fallout of these two wildly different scenarios? We're talking coaching, player psychology, the whole deal. And the article does not pull its punches when it comes to the coaching staff. It points the finger directly at head coach Kevin Stefanski. The argument is, look, everyone could see the protection for Sanders was a disaster, right? So where were the adjustments? Where were the screen passes, the rollouts, the chip blocks? The source claims there was nothing and calls it a straight-up failure to help your guy out. And think about the mental side of this. The source argues it's a night and day difference.
For Gabriel, a game like that is a huge confidence booster. It builds trust, it builds momentum. But for Sanders, being thrown to the wolves like that, it plants seeds of doubt, it creates distrust. It can literally stall a career. And that's the key takeaway here. This isn't just about one loss in the standings. It's about potentially altering a player's entire future. All right, so let's pull back one last time and look at the big picture. Why should we care about what happened in this one game? Well, the article argues this is about something way bigger. It's about legacy, and it's about the power structures within the NFL itself. And here's the final, explosive claim from the source. It suggests that the pushback against Shedeur Sanders isn't just about him as a player. It's about him being the son of one of the all-time great disruptors, Deion Sanders. The thinking goes, if a player with that kind of influence and background succeeds on his own terms, it could shake up the league's old power structures. And because of that, the article alleges the system is pushing back hard. Which brings us to this final question, and it's a big one. You know, we've just walked through one very specific, very strong perspective on this situation. But it really makes you think about sports in general, doesn't it? In any team sport, where does the system's responsibility end, and where does the player's own responsibility begin? How much of success is really about the individual, and how much is about the environment they're put in? It's a huge question, and the debate is definitely bigger than just one game.